Hello everyone, welcome back to the Maker's Gonna Learn YouTube channel. Y'all, in today's video, we are doing a full review on the XTools M1 10-watt laser. Now, XTools was gracious enough to send us this laser so that we could review it and let you guys know if we don't like it, if we do like it, all the different things. So you better stick around to the end because we're going to be giving you the scoop on this laser and letting you know our thoughts. If you are new to our channel, my name is Lauren and I'm a craft producer here at Maker's Gonna Learn, where we bring you inspiration, education, and motivation to get crafting. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified every time we get crafty. So let's go ahead and talk about the XTools M1 laser. Now, for those that don't know, this is a diode laser, which in comparison to the Glowforge, which is a CO2 laser, means that this is a more compact, lighter weight, less energy laser, meaning it's not as powerful. However, you have a smaller footprint compared to the Glowforge. And like I said, the reason that I'm comparing it to the Glowforge is because we have one. So it's not going to cut through as thick of a material as a CO2 laser will, but that's where I really want you to think, what is your end game for if you are purchasing a laser? So what you need to think about is there are the things that you want to make. Are you wanting to cut thick material? Are you just wanting to do engraving? Are you wanting this to be a business, or are you just looking at it to be a hobby? There are so many things to consider when purchasing a laser. If you are a hobbyist and you are just creating things for yourself, maybe you have a small business and not a large business, and you just want to create some things to sell here and there, I really think that the XTools M1 laser is probably a great way to go, especially for the price point. If you have not worked with a laser before and you want to jump into the laser community at a smaller price point, this is a great laser to start out with. Now let's talk about everything that you get if you do decide to purchase an XTools M1 laser. So right out of the box, this is what the laser looks like. There is little to no assembly. The only thing that you're gonna have to do is add the exhaust pipe, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. So what's gonna come in the box along with your laser is you're gonna have your exhaust pipe, you're going to have the fitting, the clamp, and the 4 screws that screw this fitting onto the back of your laser. The best way that I found to do this is take your clamp, put it through the pipe. Then we're going to place this pipe here onto your fitting and then clamp it on. And you can see we've got it clamped all the way around that pipe. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your fitting and you're going to place it here. This is the filtration system. We're going to place it here, and we're just going to take our screws. We're just going to place it here, and we're just going to take our screws, and we're going to start screwing this in. Once you have gotten your exhaust pipe attached, you are then going to take your hose, and you are going to filter it outside the room that you are in, whether that is through a window, through a door, but you do need to have this set up in a well-ventilated area or somewhere that you can vent this to the outside of the room, because the fumes that will come from this need to be vented outside. The other things that you are going to receive with your laser are going to be 2 cutting mats. You're going to get a fabric grip and a light grip cutting mat. Now the difference of these mats versus your standard Cricut mats is they are sticky on both sides. And the reason they are sticky on both sides is because once you take the film off of both sides, this back side is then able to stick to the bottom portion of your laser, and it does not move because the M1 does have a blade cutting feature. So because it does have a blade cutting feature, you're also going to receive some 45-degree angle replacement blades that are going to go in the housing inside your laser. Now, to get to the blade housing, I'm going to bring this up so you can see this. This is what the laser is housed in, as well as your blade. There is a housing system underneath there that is attached via magnet. So you're just going to pull that out, and much like your Cricut blade, you're just going to press this release button and you are going to add in your blade this way. Once you have added your blade, you're going to place it back up and under there very carefully, and then it will click right in. The other thing you're going to receive are these triangular prisms, and these are perfect for laying down inside your laser, especially if you are going to be cutting through materials, because what you're going to be able to do is it's going to aerate this underneath, because if you are cutting through to prevent burn marks from happening, you need to have something, you need to have it lifted up off the bottom so that air can flow through and you don't get as many burn marks. So if you are working with a piece of basswood, you are going to place it on top of there. If you want to cut through this, you're going to place it on top of the triangular prisms. That way the laser, it is closer to the laser, and you get that airflow underneath so that you can get more clean cuts. If you purchase the basic package with this laser, you do also receive a small basic material package, which is going to include a 3mm piece of basswood, a piece of the paper thin faux leather, some sticker paper, vinyl, and heat transfer vinyl as well, so that you can practice with that material in this laser. XTools was generous enough to send us the Pro package, which means we also got the rotary attachment so that you can place cups and other things inside the laser to engrave onto these cups, plus a premium material package. Now, we also did receive the riser base with the honeycomb shelf, which is great for you to have in your arsenal, especially if you plan on engraving or working with things that are going to be too large to fit just in the enclosed laser. And I'm going to show you exactly how we set that up as well. Now, I think if I were purchasing this laser, I would definitely purchase the riser base with this, just because it gives me more of an option to work with thicker materials and work with other things, because the base of this does come out, allowing you to put larger things inside this laser. So with all that being said, let me show you exactly what it looks like once it is set up and how to set this up. So straight out of the box, this is how these came set up. There was no assembly required. However, there is a very specific way to use these and place these underneath your laser, because if you do purchase the air assist, which is something that really helps with burn marks if you plan on cutting through a lot of materials, then this portion has to go on the right hand side. If you're looking at the laser, it has to go on the right hand side of the laser. So what you're going to do, and you may need assistance with this, is you are going to place this underneath your laser, and then from there we're going to pick up on the other side, and we're just going to pull this other side in, and it fits perfectly underneath the feet of the laser. Once you have done that, you can then take your honeycomb base and you can choose which level you want it at, and we're just going to take it and slide it in here. And there are screws in the back which tells it where to stop. Once you have installed the riser base, you do have to take this bottom portion out. There are going to be 5 different screws that you're going to have to take out, and then you can take this out and place it on the bottom. Once you have taken all the screws out, you can then lift this piece up, take it out, and then we're going to slide it. There is a specific place where it goes at the very bottom of that riser base, and you will slide it in. Once that is finished, we're just going to add these to the front and the back. That way it protects our eyes from the laser. So we're going to take this and we're going to slide it here on the front, and then we're going to do the same thing on the back. And you do want to, when you are sliding this in, you want to keep this piece at the bottom. That way once you slide it in, you have an area where you can pick it up and raise it back up and down. After you have done all this, you do need to take your power adapter that you do get with your laser, and we're going to plug our laser up. and then we will turn it on. Now this laser does have Bluetooth capabilities. However, the first time you use it, you do have to connect via USB, the wire, to your computer. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take this adapter, plug it here in the back, and then plug it up to your computer. Now, if you have a Mac, you will have to have an adapter. If you have a Windows computer, it does have the USB. You can just hook it up to your computer. But if you have a Mac, you do know we do not have the USB, so you need a USB to USB-C adapter so that you can plug it into your computer. So now that we have designed all of this, I am going to move our base plate back up from the bottom up here, and I'm gonna screw that back in before we get started with designing this. So before we start the design process, I do know that I'm going to be creating something that is going to go on this 3-inch basswood. So what you can do is place this in your laser, and then if you can hear every time this opens and closes, there is a beep. It is because that camera captures what is in your laser every time you open and close it. So once we close that, we can refresh on our screen and see exactly what we are working with. Okay, so once you have downloaded the XTools Creative Space, which you can find on the XTools website, the material that you're going to be working with inside your machine, and then you're going to connect it to your computer so that you can get a real-time look at what you are working on. So here is a sample of what we're going to be creating today. Just a really quick, simple, easy Father's Day gift. And so we are going to be cutting, scoring, and engraving today. So to start out with, I know that I want to work with this lace file, which I'm going to be able to find at Maker's Gonna Learn, this glove, which is going to be a PNG, and I'm going to show you how we can manipulate PNGs. Plus, I'm going to be working with this copperplate text, which is also can be found at Maker's Gonna Learn. So we're going to be working with some fonts, PNGs, SVGs, all from Maker's Gonna Learn. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to hop over to Maker's Gonna Learn. The font that I'm going to be working with today is the Adrian font, and you can see here that I have searched Adrian under the font section. To download, we're going to click this arrow pointing down. We're going to open that up, and then we're just going to install that OTF font into our computer system. Once that has downloaded, we're going to come back over here to Maker's Gonna Learn. We're going to go to our cut files. I am going to be working with a cut file that is biggest fan. I'll always be your biggest fan. And this is the PNG that we're going to kind of work with, and I'm going to show you how you can work around it within the XTools software. So we're going to download that. And then we are also going to be working with a separate baseball, and the Hey Batter Batter is the file that we're going to be working with because I just want these laces. So we're also going to download that one. We're going to make sure that we unzip that and open that up, and then we're just going to hop back over to our XTools. And from here, we're going to go ahead and make sure they're all in there, what we're working with. So first thing, I want to upload this Hey Batter Batter SVG. And here you can see that it pulls in, and it's kind of hard to see, but it pulls in 2 different colors. And you can see down here in the bottom left that it does have the 2 different colors. We're just wanting to keep those red laces. So I'm actually just going to click the black, make sure the black is the only one selected, and I'm just going to delete that out. And that's really, that's how simple that is to manipulate that file. If you have a multi-layer SVG, it is very simple to manipulate because you can see it had those 2 layers there. However, if you have a single layer SVG, it's not as easy to manipulate, and I want to show you what I mean. So if we go back here to our biggest fan and we have this SVG, we're going to open this up. You can see that this SVG is all one layer because it's all one color, and we can tell this down here. And you can see we have layer 1, layer 2. The only thing that I cannot figure out, that you cannot work with, is I can't delete out certain parts of this file. Let's say I only want this baseball glove down here. I can't delete the rest of this out. So that's one thing that I'm not really fond of with this software as of right now. I do believe that that is probably going to be something that they will probably fix in the future, but as of right now, there is a workaround, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I have figured out is I'm going to go to my Finder, and I'm going to upload, so the downloads, the Hey Batter Batter. So the biggest fan, I'm going to open up the PNG, okay? So here you can see that we have the PNG. I just want this down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to pull this up here, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And all I want is this. So I'm going to take a screenshot. So if you're on a Mac, it's Command-Shift-4. It's going to be your snipping tool in Microsoft. So I'm just going to select the area that I want to get a screen grab of, and then release my mouse. And you can see over here, it opens it up. And that's what we're going to be working with. So from there, I'm going to exit out of all of this. I'm going to go to File, Import Image, and I'm going to go to my Recents, and you can see that I have the screen grab here, and I'm going to open that up. From here, we're going to edit the image. Now, at first, it will pull in at a fuzziness of 0, and if you try to click on the background, it's like it doesn't remove the background for some reason. So I kind of played with it, and if you bring it up and then come in here, it's like it gets rid of everything. Well, I don't want to do that, so I was just playing around with the numbers, and the sweet spot that I found for some reason was 10. Now, I don't know if this is going to work on all of the files, but it's like you have to play with that fuzziness on this to be able to get this background removed. So from there, I'm just going to remove all of these inner pieces, all of this background, don't want any of that. And then you can save that image, and now since it is a PNG, it is good to go for engraving, but you can't do anything else. One thing that I have discovered, if this happens to you and you want to manipulate or want to only get one little section, you can kind of create your own SVG in this software by coming out here to Outline. It's going to automatically set it at a distance of 2. If you set it at a distance of 0, it's like that red line, and we'll zoom in over here. I'll zoom in and I'll do it again. But we'll go back to Outline. We're going to set this at a distance of 0. It is right up next to the black outline of this PNG, and if you click OK, you can then move that, and now you see we have the PNG, which I will move out of the way, and then here, now we have an SVG, which we could score, engrave, or cut. If you wanted to manipulate a file, that is a workaround for this system right now. So, now back to designing this project, we are going to select this PNG. We're going to size it down just a little bit, quite a bit, and then we're going to come over here to our shape. We're going to grab a circle, and we are going to size it up. We're going to size it up enough, and I'm going to turn this, rotate this. Let's go back to 0. Actually, let's bring it back this way. And now we're going to rotate this 270 degrees. And then bring it in here with the baseball. And I kind of want to make this baseball as large as I can to fit on this piece of basswood. Okay. And then we're going to grab our laces, enlarge our laces, and then move them to fit within the baseball. And here I do have it a little large, so we're just going to size it down just a little bit, move it down, and just keep manipulating until we feel comfortable with where it's going to sit. Okay, once we are comfortable with that, we see we have our laces and our circle. We're going to make sure our circle is selected, and we are going to change that to a cut line over here, okay? So we've changed that to a cut line. And now we're going to select our laces, and we are going to make sure they are at a score, because we're going to score the laces and then we're going to cut the laces on a different piece of basswood to paint them so that it gives them the 3D effect. So we're going to score first though. Now we're going to bring in our baseball mitt. I'm going to place it in the middle here. And then I'm going to grab a text box. I do want to set the text to engrave as well, and we're going to set this, our baseball glove is already set to engrave, so we're going to come to our typeface and we are going to find Adrian, and we are just going to type in our text. Okay, so this is another issue that I ran into that I don't understand why, is with some text, if you can see the N is there, but it's like it's not coming up. So let's just go back, and when I type the N, it goes in there, but the lowercase n is not. So I don't know if that is a glitch within the system or what is happening there, but we're going to come back. See, it's only doing the capital N, so we're going to have to choose a different font. American Story is another Maker's Gonna Learn font. So we're going to type all of that in, and then we are going to align this to the middle. And then from there you can size it down and make it fit in the area that you want. From there, we're just going to grab another text box. Once again, we are using the American Story typeface from Maker's Gonna Learn. We're going to make sure this says engrave. And then we're just going to type out love, comma, bring this down. Third text box, engrave, and then your child's name. Just design-wise, I'm going to bring love down just a little bit and make the name a little larger. Now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to look at my layers panel, and we are just going to make sure that everything is set to where it should. I'm actually going to arrange this, and I'm going to send that to back. That way I can grab this. We're going to send everything to back. That way I can come in here and select this glove and make sure that it is on engrave where I want it to be. Once we have done that, I'm just going to pull this down, make sure that it fits within the selected area. Make sure everything is exactly where I want it. And we did make sure that all of this is set to engrave. These are set to score, and our baseball is set to cut out. Now we are going to make sure that this is on laser flat with the 3mm basswood plywood. Actually, this is the walnut plywood. We're changing that. This is the darker walnut plywood that does come with the Pro kit if you do order the laser. This is a 3mm thickness, but you can also have it auto adjust, which I suggest you do every time just to be on the safe side, because sometimes it will move. So just do that. And we do have this height raised on triangular prisms because we are cutting out the outside. So we do need to make sure that this piece of plywood is cut on the outside. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to do the framing process. So what it's going to do is it'll show you on the laser where your design is going to go. So on my computer, I'm going to hit framing down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And then from there, I'm going to press the go button on the front of my laser. And you can see here, it's going to frame exactly where the design is. So the line I'm seeing, it's actually on the plywood, so I know that it's gonna fit. And this is really great, especially if you are not sure if it's lined up properly or you're wanting to engrave something that's smaller. Make sure you do the framing every time before you process it. So now that we've done that, we're gonna select process. It is going to give us a preview, and then we are going to hit process. It's going to send it to our laser, and then we are going to hit the button and start the project. So one thing that I absolutely love about this laser is how quiet it is when it's working. Just because we own a Glowforge, like I've said earlier, and we can use the Glowforge as a reference, the Glowforge is so loud. It is actually on the other side of the building, so when we are filming, we can't use the Glowforge because we can hear it in our filming room, but this thing is super, super quiet. So I will say that to me is a plus, but I truly think that's probably just because it is more of a low wattage laser, but I do love how quiet it is. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna actually pause this because it cut all the way through, but it's like continuing to go. I thought I only had it at one pass, but so like the wood fell through and the laser kept going, so I went ahead and paused it. And it took a total of 16 minutes and 16 seconds. So now we're gonna be able to see what the laser did. I think it looks pretty good. Now I will say this is not near as dark as what I thought it would be. I don't think it looks bad. I'll show you the difference though. So this is the one that I made prior on a lighter piece of wood, and this is the one that I've made today. For some reason, this up here is not as dark as it should be. The glove looks phenomenal. The text is a little lighter, so I would just be kind of aware of that if you're using a darker wood to maybe pull the power up on that engraving just a little bit, but the score lines are beautiful. It did burn a little bit up here, which you could probably sand that out a little bit. It's not too bad. The back of it did burn a little bit here and here, but you can purchase the Air Assist, which will help prevent these scorch marks if you would like to. We did not get the Air Assist. I do have a feeling if we start using this very much, we will get the Air Assist just for that. So now that we have this cut, we're gonna go back into Creative Space, the XTools Creative Space, and I am going to pull out, I'm gonna duplicate our laces, and we're gonna put them on a different piece of wood and cut them as well. While we are in here, one other thing that you have to do quite frequently with this laser, I don't know if you all can see this, but where the laser cut through that wood, you do have to come in here with like some wet wipes and wipe this down and like wipe the top off, and I'll show you how I do that after we get done cutting this. But I'm just gonna place this piece back in here, and then we're gonna close the lid and go back to Creative Space. So now that we're in here, I'm going to refresh what we have on our image, and I'm going to pull all of this over to the side, my text and my glove. And I'm going to pull all of this over here out of the way. And then I'm just going to grab my laces and I'm going to place them on here. I'm going to change it from score to cut. Now this is putting it at, because it is on the walnut plywood, which is what I did have. So you can see once I select this image, it had 3 passes on that, and I definitely didn't need 3 passes. So we're gonna come back and change this to the basswood plywood. Select this, and now it has 1 pass, power of 100 with a speed of 5. So when you are manually adjusting your power settings, because all machines, they're gonna be very similar, if not the exact same, but I just feel like, and I say the same with Cricuts, that not all machines are made equal, so what works for you may not 100% work for me, but if you are manually adjusting your power and your speed and everything else, just know that the power and the speed kind of work hand in hand. You pull the power up and pull the speed down gives you a sharper cut. So if you want it to go faster, you can pull the speed up, but just be aware that if you pull the speed up, there's a good chance that it may not cut all the way through, and if you pull the speed up, you may have to do multiple passes. So most of the time you're going to keep it on the settings that they have, but sometimes you may have to manipulate them and change them around. So we're just going to keep them here right now. And I'm going to place them here where they will fit our laces, not changing the sizes or anything else. We are going to go to Process. That image looks good. And now it is ready to go. So we're just going to click the button on the front of our machine. So one thing I am going to do while this is cutting, I'm going to take a very light grit sanding block and I'm going to try to sand the edges of this to see if it will come off and how well it comes off without hurting this piece of wood. Now, if this wasn't already like a pre-stained piece of wood, it wouldn't bother me as much, but I'm afraid if I sand too much, I'll try it on the back, that it may go down to like a lighter piece of wood, and I would rather have the burn marks than that. Another thing that you can do, and this is especially going to come in handy, like if you are engraving or, engraving like metal, is rubbing alcohol. You can take rubbing alcohol and get the soot off like the sides, and I'm gonna see if it will bring it off here on the back as well, these burn marks like this soot. We're just gonna rub it and see how well it brings it off. I mean, it's looking like it is on the paper towel. We'll see what it looks like when it dries. I feel like it brought it off pretty well. Here's where I rubbed it first, and you can see it's drying here where it was. So maybe just a little bit of light sanding, rubbing alcohol will both do the trick. But if you're really worried about sanding, I would try rubbing alcohol first and then resort to sanding. Okay, that one took 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So now we're gonna open this up. Now I am seeing a few more scorch marks on this one, and that one's not popping through, but that one did. And you can see here that for some reason right there on that corner, it did not go all the way through. So I'm not really sure why it did that. What I'm gonna do, I am going to grab an X-Acto knife or a True Control knife. I'm just gonna try to make that split right there so that it doesn't completely tear it up. So I don't know. I mean, I don't understand if it was what I did wrong to do that, or if this was just an issue where it was. This could also be inconsistencies in the wood as well. It may not be an issue with the laser. Just know that if this does happen to you, you can carefully try to get it out without ruining the piece that you are working on. So here you can see that I was able to get the piece. Let's get it out. Now that is going to be on the back side, so it doesn't hurt it that bad. We can just sand that off. But now it will be ready for paint and then to add to our baseball. Now, before we move on to anything else, one thing that is very important is cleaning your laser. So I've just got a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a paper towel, and you can see here like the moisture that comes out of the wood. You're gonna wanna make sure you clean everything in there and see how dirty it gets, those scorch marks there. But you're also gonna wanna make sure that you clean the top as well, because it gets very dirty too. Now, I know I said we were going to finish the project, and we are, but since we have the laser here and you can see overhead, I want to show you how you need to load the mat in and working with vinyl with your xTools. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out our triangular prisms out of here. And then we're going to take our mat, and because it is sticky on both sides, you're going to have to take the protective covering off the back and off the front. I suggest taking it off the back first and then placing it down on the base of your laser. And now I'm just going to grab the top part and pull it out. So from here, it's going to be very simple to cut vinyl. The only thing about cutting vinyl in your xTools is that you're limited to the 12 by 15 area in here. You cannot cut larger than 12 by 15, which, as many of you all know, you can cut on a Cricut 12 to 24. So that is the biggest downfall of this. But really and truly, you're not going to be buying this machine to cut vinyl or HTV. You're going to be buying it for its laser capabilities. This is just an added bonus in my opinion. So once you have your mat stuck on there and then you come in and you add your vinyl, we're just going to shut the lid. So once you have your mat and your vinyl in there, we're going to refresh our screen. And now you can see that it pulls up here. I'm going to make sure that we are using blade cut. And then you're just going to pull in an SVG. You do have to use an SVG if you're doing a blade cut. And we're going to size and move it on our vinyl how we want it. Now, once again, this is a Maker's Gonna Learn file that you can find on our website and download from there. And then from that point, we are going to go to material. Now, one thing that it did take me a minute to figure out is if I have something selected, I'm like, where is my other stuff? You have to unselect it and then you can choose your materials. So from your materials, you are just going to choose removable, self-adhesive craft vinyl. And I'm going to select this. And this says that it cuts at a pressure of 75 with a speed of 80. That one worked pretty well for me. So we're just going to keep it on that, and I'm going to show you the results once it has cut. So now we're just going to go to process. It looks good. We're going to process again, and then we're going to hit the button on the front of our machine. Okay, so that took a total of 1 minute, 7 seconds to cut. So I'm just going to come in here with my X-Acto knife. I'm going to cut off this portion so that I can weed it out, and then I want to show you all how well it weeds or doesn't weed. So automatically, which permanent vinyl is not my favorite to weed anyway, but it is weeding pretty well. I really don't have any complaints. It's just these smaller pieces here. It's like it's wanting to pick it up. That could be a vinyl issue and not a cutting issue. But it did weed pretty well. So we're just going to come in here and grab these center pieces, weed those out, and then pull this up off of here because we don't need this excess vinyl. And then I'm going to pull this out. So it did do pretty good, and this is on the StarCraft vinyl. This is some of our favorite vinyl here at Maker's Gonna Learn. We do love the 143 StarCraft vinyl. So it did its job. It did what it was supposed to. There are no issues on the settings that it used. It didn't cut through the backing, which is great. So I really don't have any complaints other than it did take it a little over 1 minute to cut, but other than that, I mean, it did cut. Okay, so now that you have seen the laser cut, score, engrave, cut vinyl, let's go ahead and hop overhead and finish our project that we started. So I just have some DAP glue here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna take these pieces. Now this is a rapid fuse glue, and I'm just gonna place some of this here on these laces. And it does not take a lot of this at all. And I'm just going to place it down where it needs to go. Now you do have a little bit of work time with this, but not a lot. So once it's down, hold it down for a few seconds and it will go right where it needs to go. And this is why I love scoring where you want different pieces to go and then going back and recutting those pieces. That way you know exactly where they go, you know how they fit perfect because that's where you designed them to go. So I think that is a really good hack, especially for this machine, is to score where you're gonna place other pieces. So once again, we're just gonna come in with some of this DAP glue here, not a lot. If you get too much on there, you do run a risk of it seeping out from under. So you just need a little bit. And then, like I said, we have some work time with this, but not a whole lot. So we're gonna place it down, not pressing it down, move it to where it needs to go. Then once it is placed where it needs to go, then we can press down. And now you have a super cute, very unique Father's Day gift, or really any kind of gift. You can make this anything that you want, very sentimental, but it's a great gift idea. Y'all, what do you think? I am obsessed with how this came out, and this was my very first project using this machine. The software, there are some things that can and will be updated. And one thing I do want to mention is when I did download the XTools Creative Space, the first thing that they asked me, or the first thing that it prompted me to do, was to answer and rank things that I felt they needed to change and better so that their software could be better, which as a consumer goes such a long way with me. I didn't answer it just because I hadn't been in the software to know what did work, what didn't work, things like that. So I do think that they are really changing and improving their software as well as their machines and other things. And I think that this is a really great machine especially for the hobby crafter, because y'all, this is the next level project. If you are a Cricut crafter, this is the next level from that. And these are things that you can't necessarily do with your Cricut. There are workarounds. This quality is something that you just do not get if you just have a Cricut. So if you are looking to jump into the laser world, I do think the XTools is a great place to start. Now, this is something that I did want to show you. I was just playing around. This was a PNG file that we have on our Makers Gonna Learn website, and I wanted to see how I could get the difference in the engravings and how it could really show a picture. And I was very, very impressed by taking this PNG file, turning it to a grayscale, and adjusting some things. I was able to get such a crisp image and have a lot of depth and definition to it. So let's go over the pros and cons, and I want to start with the pros. So pro number one is this thing is compact. If you are limited on space in your craft room or your area, this is a great compact, smaller laser. It only weighs like about 21 pounds, so it's very movable. You can move it back and forth, different places. I do love that about it. Number two, the quietness of this laser. This laser, you could put stuff in here and you can work if you had a sleeping baby in the same room. I don't suggest that, but I'm just saying it is doable because this laser is so quiet. Number three, price point. The price point on this, if you are wanting to jump into the laser world, is a really good price point. It's going to be under $1,000 if you get the basic package, and especially if you catch these on sale, which, by the way, they're running a sale. If you are watching this before Father's Day, they are running a Father's Day sale, so definitely go check that out with the link down below. But this is a very affordable laser to get started with. And pro number four, in my opinion, is the user friendliness of the design software. Now, there are things that I think can and probably will be changed, but they really impressed me when the first thing when I downloaded their software was asking me to rank 10 things that I think they could do better. That to me goes a long way. So I do think they are moving in the right direction, especially after some of the videos that I've watched that people recorded, 5, 6, 7 months ago, and they were talking about certain things in the design software that they didn't like that I literally had no issues with. So I feel like they have changed and upgraded and are continually changing and upgrading, which I do love that about a company. So I do think that the design software is headed in the right direction. Now, let's talk about the cons. Once again, these are just my opinions, and really and truly, I don't even think are true cons. Con number one is it is a 10-watt laser. It's just one of those things. There are higher wattage lasers out there that I do think especially if you're wanting to break into like the professional laser cutting world, that you definitely need to go for over this one. XTools, for example, has higher wattage lasers that I've heard are great, but still this one is a good laser, but pretty much just for the hobbyist laser user. Con number two, the vinyl cutting is there. It has the capabilities, but it's just not comparable to a Cricut. But like I said earlier, you're not gonna buy this machine for its vinyl cutting capabilities. Its vinyl cutting capabilities work, it gets the job done, it does it. If you don't have a Cricut and you're trying to decide between a laser cutter and a Cricut, this is what you need. This has them both together. You can do both of them. However, if you do already have a Cricut, you're not gonna purchase this machine for its vinyl cutting abilities. And the last con, I don't even wanna call it a con because it kind of contradicts what I said earlier, is that you are limited to the space and how large of a project you can work with. But y'all, that just comes with, are you looking for a machine that can cut large things, or are you looking for a compact machine? Me personally, I like the compactness because I don't feel like I'm going to cut anything any larger. And if I do cut something very large, it's going to be something that I have to piece together anyway. So there are workarounds by piecing things together. I really hope that this tutorial of this very cute project that we did for Father's Day and review of the XTools M1 laser has helped you. If you are interested in checking them out, make sure you click the link down below. And as always, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified every time we get crafty. We'll see y'all in the next one.